Okay, we're recording, so
Amazing. Thank you for inviting me. I so apologize. I feel like the headless horseman today. Um, have you have you guys done any previous business with us at all with
you
Lone
still would
Stream?
know
Or
that.
I haven't.
okay.
No.
So okay, perfect. So Lone Stream is the eighth largest wholesaler in the nation right now. And the great thing I think about us is that when I first came on board, I was with Union Bank Wholesale until US Bank decided to decimate us. But
Is that what
when
happened
I,
to the bank? I was wondering what happened.
yeah, US Bank, and they don't dig wholesale. So yeah, they shut us down. It was it was a bummer. But we only offered, as you know, we did have a 30-year product and we had arms.
Yeah,
But
the arms were big.
yeah, so
Jumbo.
coming to Lone Stream, I came over for non-QM because I thought there was a good opportunity given where the market was at the time to do jumbo loans, which is what I'm the most familiar with. However, I have since, in my almost 2 years here, now um, done quite a bit of FHA because our pricing is usually very good. We do the down payment programs. We have CalHFA, but my non-QM is still priced so well, actually, for where we are in the market right now, given that fixed rates can't decide where they want to be. Um, and my minimum loan amount is only 125,000, so it's a really big backyard, right? What would you say the what would you say your attraction is to us and like your marketplace?
Yeah, well, let me tell you a little bit about our market. So we're in the high
Okay.
desert, even though our corporate office is in Newport.
Uh-huh.
Um, I do have a team down in the San Diego area and people down like in the Inland Empire, but the majority of us are up here in the high desert. So we're
Oh,
kind of
so like Lancaster,
no,
Palmdale
we're
area?
in the Victor Valley area. So Victor
Oh, okay. So
Valley,
further. Okay.
yeah. And
Yeah,
we're super
metro area.
growing area. The area is just exploding. Our price points are obviously much lower, half as much as the LA and Orange County area, if not more.
Right.
A lot more bang for your buck up here. And we have a lot of commuters and a lot of first-time home buyers up here.
Okay.
So we do a lot of down payment assistance. We do a lot of FHA, a lot of Govy stuff, mostly Govy, some conventional, and we do come across some non-QM stuff every so often. But our bread and butter is the Govy stuff,
Okay.
and because a lot of these people are first-time home buyers and a lot of them don't have two nickels to rub together. Um,
Right.
the DPA and the buy down stuff, um, is pretty prevalent up here.
Of course.
A lot of the sellers are, doing the paying for the buy downs for the buyers. So,
Okay.
and most all of us work with our or we try to focus on purchase business. Refi business
Okay.
will grab when it's there, but we
Sure.
really focus on purchase. So that's us
Okay.
in a nutshell.
Okay. So we obviously, like I said, have the FHA down payment assistance. We go up to the 101 and a half, right? So you can cover part of the closing cost. You get the 1.5 for the closing cost, and then the 3.5 for down payment. Um, we are okay with first-time home buyers. We follow FHA. We don't have any weird overrides, right? Or guidelines that restrict usage. We also have the CalHFA. They're also going to be coming out with some buy downs. They're stricter, obviously, on the income
Okay.
and
That ratio.
yeah, and debt ratio, right? Where FHA, 55%, cures a lot of ills, right?
Yeah.
Um, we are typically priced very, very well. Since I know that that's what you do a lot of, I'll be sure to um, send you some rate stacks on a regular basis so
Okay.
you can see where we are. What's your usual comp?
Um, we're kind of the Wild West here. We earn off of the yield and or whatever we charge the borrower. And we share that with the team. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But typically, are we correspondent or do we broker with you?
Your broker with
Broker.
us.
So usually they build in, I think, on broker stuff 2.25.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that way I'm sure I'm giving you, correct price points, right?
Yeah.
So my underwriting team, I'll just give you a little bit of information about us. Our underwriting team on the Govy conventional side is amazing. We've got a couple of folks that just blow my socks off because they're great at trying to find a way to make things work, which is hard to come by when you're doing automated underwriting, right? So I'm really impressed with their work. Their manager is great. I have an assistant. His name is Ryan Chisholm. He is your main point of contact, like once you submit a loan, because he has all the system stuff. They don't give me any access like I had when I was at Union to be able to help you. Outside of being able to see your items in Encompass and help you when you're submitting and so forth. But we do have the buy downs now on the FHA. And again, our pricing, given the upheaval in the market recently, has been very very good. Do you have any specific questions, like things that you ran into?
Yeah, can you give us an idea of the rates on both the buy down as well as the DPA, FHA DPA?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Hold on. Let me.
Based on our comp plan.
Absolutely.
And Lisa, when you just busted out a 2.25, is that already built in for the LO comp, or is that just built into the pricing?
That's just built into pricing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, whenever we broker deals, it's different. It's not correspondent. So
Do you want to give me a kind of a typical purchase price for you?
yeah, say 500,000.
Okay. Fixed. What would you say your average FICO score is?
Lisa?
650.
That's a funny question. Let's go 680.
Okay. Sounds good.
I mean, I got one at 555 right now, so I don't know.
Wow. Okay. That's all right. I'm closing at $80,000 second, and I'm sure that the only person that's really profiting from that is my hairdresser.
Exactly.
Do you guys do
So-
manual underwrite too?
We can, yes.
Okay.
Your guidelines are more limited in the manual underwrite.
Mhm.
I'll send you the FHA guidelines for us. I'm struggling right now for for my vocabulary. I'm so thrown for not being there for you. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Can you give me a zip code for you, please?
92308.
Okay. I apologize. The only thing I know about Apple Valley is that I go through you on my way to Vegas.
That's what
Everybody does.
Does, man.
That's how we hook them. We stand on the side of the freeway and we just grab people as they drive by.
Stop here.
Where would you use the restroom between San Diego and Vegas?
Right. Okay, so let's do 500. 500 value. We're going to do you want to do just the 96.5? I'll give you a couple. We'll do 96.5 and then we'll do a 101. How's that?
Okay.
So I'm going to do, this will be first time home buyer. Now let's see what we got here. Let's see, let me go back 2.25. Forgot to put your comp in. Dude. Well, if this thing will stop telling me all the things that are wrong with me, I might be able to pull something up for you. It's like getting a complex over here. Okay, get pricing. Okay, let me see if I can share my screen, maybe. Hold on a second. Share. Okay, so let me go here. Not shoot, cut me out. Okay, let me just give it to you and then I can email it to you. How about that? So we're looking at with your comp built in, the closest to par is 6%. This is just the, oh, I'm so sorry. I've got to scroll down. I hate when it does that. Okay, so the Max One Plus, which includes the payment for the second. Okay, we have two. We have a Max One Plus where the borrower pays the second for 10 years. And then we have a Max One where there's no payment on the second, but the rate is a little higher. Okay.
Okay.
So the Max One Plus, where there is a payment on the second, which is 2% over the rate on the first, your closest to par is 7% at 99.617. And then 7 1/8 would be 100.061. Gives you like $299 of
Rebate,
rebate. Yeah. But that does include your 2 1/4.
right?
Okay. So the Max One Plus with the 5%, your closest to par is 7 1/4 at 99.7. And then after that, it's 7 1/2 at 100.088.
Okay.
So now if we,
7 1/4, and so that's 5. So we're getting the 3.5 for the down plus 1.5
for closing
for
cost.
closing costs.
Does that follow AUS, or are we at a DTI restriction on that?
No, it's 55, follows AUS. Mhm.
Okay. Do they have to do first time home buyer class or home buyer class?
They do for first time home buyer. Now let's see. So
That's the
let me
one paying on the second, right?
yes.
Okay. Which is
So
2% over,
now,
so it'd be like 9 1/4 on the second.
right, for 10 years. Mhm.
10 years, yeah.
So let me see why it doesn't want to give me a payment. Max LTV 99. Okay.
Okay.
So let me see if I can get you some pricing on the other. For some reason, it's doesn't want to do it.
Well, Calahafa today, I think is at 7 1/4 as well, but we're restricted at what, 45 debt ratio, or
Yes, yes, it's
that's
much
a
lower.
big difference. Yeah.
What is the max that we can charge up front?
You mean if you're going to do buyer paid? I'm sorry, I don't
Yeah,
understand.
for our origination. So like right now we do our DPAs with Orion and their
Uh-huh.
max that we can charge is 2 1/4.
So whatever you set your comp at is the most that you can charge, whether it's borrower paid or lender paid.
Okay.
So it would be the same.
Okay. So if we are set up at 2 1/4, it would be 2 1/4.
Yes.
I'll check too and see how we're set up. Actually, you might be able to check for us and just email me after with our broker approval.
Sure.
Yeah, just email me separate after on that one.
Okay, so I'm trying to see why it's not giving me just the straight Max One. It doesn't like something I'm doing here. But you know what I'll do? I apologize. What I'll do is I'll do several rate stacks. I'll do some with not without the 101, some with just the down payment, and then some with just the Max One where the there is no payment on the second. How's that?
Okay.
And that way you can have a
Perfect.
look at it.
And then for those on this call that don't know about how the 2-1 buy downs work, can you explain how those work?
Sure.
And
Sure.
yeah,
So the buy down has to be paid by the seller, right, or the builder, whoever you're getting it from. And it's basically 2%. So it lowers your payment the first year, like 2%. So if your interest rate is 7 1/4, the first year you'd be paying 5 1/4. So then the second year, it's 1%. So then your rate would be 6.25%, and then the third year would be the 7.25%.
Right.
You always have to qualify at whatever the actual note rate is.
The seven
you
and a
do-
quarter.
Correct.
Got it. On that scenario. And what would our par start rate based on our comp plan be for that product?
For the 2-1, let's
Yeah.
see here. Let's see if I can pull that up really quick.
My question on that one too, while you're looking that up, in the event that they do a 2-1 buy down and they refinance at year one, what happens with the credit from the seller? Does that get credited back to the borrower in the
Yeah, because
form of
that's held,
like a credit
that's actually held in an escrow, right? To pay that difference in the payment. So I'm not quite sure who would pay, who would give the credit back, but yes, there would be a credit sitting there.
I think the homeowner would get that credit back, just like an escrow refund,
Correct.
when we refi
Yeah.
someone out of one escrow account, they always get that money back. When we set it
in the
Right.
form of a credit. Well, because that's going to be a selling point if that's the case, that we can refinance you at,
and
if you
get
get
that
out of
money
it at
back.
year one, you're going to get the credit back that the seller gave you on your purchase, whatever the proration difference is.
Right. So you're closest to par, let's see, on a max one, 96.5. So with the borrower coming in with their own closing cost. So 2-1, closest to par with your comp would be 7.25. Well, 7.125 is 99.8. And then 7.25 is 100.235.
So really 7.25 probably would be.
Yeah,
So
is
pretty
kind
much
of
the
your
scenario you gave us. Okay.
pretty
Does
much.
that make
yeah.
sense to you guys? Any of you guys have questions on how that works? So essentially, the interest that they would have earned at 7.25 in the first year, and the interest that they would have earned at 7.25 in the second year, that interest is all added up and then paid for by the seller or the builder of the property, right?
2% though, isn't that what she said?
Yeah. Well, no, the drop is 2% in rate, but the interest that would have been owed at 7.25 in year one, they're only paying interest at 5.25 in year one, but the difference of what they would have earned at 7.25 for that 12 months is a number, right? And then what they would have earned at 7.25 versus a 6.25 in year two is a number. Those numbers are added together, and that dollar amount is what the seller pays upfront for the buy down.
So it's not earned, it's what they would have paid.
It's what they would have paid. So the
Okay,
investor isn't losing anything.
And what is the seller? I heard 2 points. What is the seller or the builder paying out on the buyer's behalf?
That's what I just said. The
That's where the
interest
confusion is, because I thought she said it was 2% too when she
No,
first started.
She said 2% lower payment, lower
Yeah.
interest rate.
Yeah.
So the rate
So
start if the
I just wanna
call
get
rate
this-
is if the call rate is 7.25, they start at 5.25. That's the 2% she's talking about,
Right.
right? The cost for that is the interest difference that they would have earned at the 7.25 in both those years. That's the total amount that the seller or the builder has to contribute for the buy down.
So how do we know what that total is when we're pre-qualifying a client to
Right.
tell the realtor what that dollar amount is that they need the credit for?
Right. That's a good question.
That's exactly what yeah.
So that would be for you, Laurel. That's why I thought you said that the seller or the builder can pay up to 2%. That was the way I understood it. So
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. So it's a 2% initial rate buy down,
Reduction.
but it
Right.
is the cost. I'm so sorry, somebody's making a delivery. The initial cost is the difference between that 6.25 and a 7.25 the first year, the 5.25, and then the 6.25 and the 7.25 the second year.
Right.
how
And
do we
that goes
determine
into-
what that is?
So I actually have a handy dandy calculator on my website
Perfect.
that will help you do that each time.
Got it.
Is that what it's called? Handy dandy calculator?
Yes. Just for me though.
Right. Yeah, so it does the math. It does the math And that's what.
Yeah, it'll calculate, and it'll calculate the second payment for you, and can you excuse me 1 second? I'm so sorry. Let me
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
go.
That makes sense, guys?
Yeah.
And I know it's weird, like I wouldn't be able to calculate it because every month the interest is different, I think, on these scenarios. So I'm not sure how I wouldn't be able to manually calculate that out myself. I don't know how to do that. But all the interest difference that they would have earned in year one from the 5.25 to the 7.25, let's just say that's $8,000, right? That's what they would have earned more in interest. That's year one. And then the second year from 6.25, 7.25, let's say that difference is $3,000 difference that they would have earned in interest. So they
You
had
know
the
what, I'm gonna-
$3,000, the $8,000, that's $11,000.
I'm gonna give you I'm gonna do a calculator really quick.
There you
It
go.
almost seems like it would be cheaper just to buy down an interest rate.
It
Well,
actually can,
Federal.
depending on where the market is, it
Yeah.
can be close, but it can also be, it can actually, be quite a bit more. So let's say I've got like $400,000 in here right now. So let's just use that. And then we'll do 7.25. And we're gonna do, okay, so in a 1/1 buy down, the buy down amount, like for each month, is $265.84, right? So the seller would come up with $3,190, or builder, right? That would be the required cost to buy down that 1 year to 6.25. Okay. So if you do a 2/1 buy down, then the difference at the second yearly rate is going to be, excuse me. Wait, hold on. Why did it do that? It flipped out of my, okay. So it's $3,190 for 1 year, a 1 buy down. Okay. A 2/1 buy down, right? So the first year, your rate's 5.25. Your monthly payment's $2,208. The buy down amount monthly is $519.89. So the first year, the amount of funds required to buy that rate down 2% is $6,238. Year two, when you go to 6.25, the monthly payment goes to $2,462. The monthly buy down amount becomes $265. And the total buy down amount required is $3,190. So the total funds for a 2/1 buy down would be $9,428.
And I just priced the same scenario on just a regular FHA, and $9,400 buys you. What's that?
1 second.
$9,400. Well, so 5.5 costs you $8,400 today. Buying a 5.375 costs you $12,000 today to buy down. Mind you, that's zero comp, right?
Right.
So, and she's got 2.25 comp there. So your money, spending the money, buying the rate down like you just thought, Lisa, would not even come close to, to this, because $9,400 doesn't buy you.
Can we do a 3-item?
Not getting paid.
Let's do chow mein
Chow mein?
and white rice, half.
Okay, I see rice. Okay.
Who's that? Is
Okay.
that Jacob?
It's Jacob. Will you
And
mute him?
Solus. Go mute Solus.
Jacob.
There
So
you
what
go.
I'll do is I'll send you guys my overlays, and then I'll send you, you can actually, if you want to go play around with that calculator and look at it, you can get into that before you get your approval, just under LoanStream Wholesale. And if you go to, once that comes up, if you just click on, hover on resources, then you can drop down. You'll see calculators, and there's a calculator there for the buy downs. There's a calculator there for seconds. You can actually, after you figure out your buy down, you can actually, if you want to calculate the payment on your second, if you're going to do the Max 1 Plus as well, so you can see your total payment, because it'll do it for the 10 years. But I'll send you, since FHA is kind of your focus, I'll send you the overlays and I'll send you some examples. And then if you have any questions, we can actually get on a Zoom. I'm going to figure out why you can't see me. And we can walk through it.
What is the what's the volume of buy down products you guys are selling right now? Is there a big demand for those, or what's your bread and butter right now? What's most people going with?
We're seeing more buy downs, but we're also seeing just a lot of the straight 96.5. And then, my rate for just straight 3.5%, and then seller closing cost, credits is obviously lower. So it's a pretty good mix right now, actually. I've seen my first time home buyer business kind of slow down a little bit. I think they're a little more afraid than other folks, but overall, I would say it's a pretty good mix, pretty healthy mix.
How about ARMs? Are you seeing anything in the way of ARMs?
No.
No.
ARMs right now are there's no benefit to ARMs. They're mostly priced the same as 30-year fixed for the most part.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah,
I mean, I
there
think
hasn't been much of an appetite on the secondary market since the market crash, it feels like.
Well, when your 10-year is 4.5%, there's no room in there for a margin, and so it's putting you right back to the 30-year fixed, and I think that until the benchmark, the 10-year settles down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I was going to say earlier, I think that's one of the things that is kind of hindering the market a lot, is that for a long time, ARMs were the key, right? Because your rate was lower. Nobody really knows what they're going to do for more than 7 years, I don't believe, So, I mean, that was a good target for people to get into a house and feel comfortable. So
Union Bank was the ticket for ARMs on jumbo products, man. That was it.
Amen. And it was just, it was a great way to do business. I mean, they were all full doc, they were all solid, solid loans.
My account executive was Lee
Konopka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lee and I worked together at WAMU for a lot of years.
Yes. So I worked with her at WAMU back in the day. That's how I knew her. And then, I've known her forever.
Yeah, me too, I guess. Seems like forever.
Where's she at now?
She works at 5th Street.
5th Street.
Yeah, they're a smaller kind of non-QM lender. But I'm actually going to see her in a couple of weeks. We're having a Union Bank get together. I'll tell her that.
Tell her I said hi.
I will, most definitely. So I again want to apologize profusely, you guys. This is not how I do, but today has been one of those days, man.
Well, we're just going to blame Patrick because he's the fall guy for everything. So we'll just blame Patrick for everything. Right, Patrick?
Oh,
Laurel, I apologize, Laurel. I screwed up your whole PowerPoint. I apologize, hon.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you taking the heat for that.
He's our buffer. We can throw anything at him. He bounces right off him. He don't care.
Oh, good. So every time we have a problem, it's going to go through you.
Blame Patrick. Patrick did it.
But
cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for being so patient. I do apologize, and I will get some information to you, and we'll get you guys up and going, and let's do some business.
Yeah, for sure. Now, mind you, I only have a handful of us on this. A lot of people, can't make these meetings, but I always record them and post them on my YouTube channel, and then and I send them out to the group so they can review it at their own leisure. But I will forward you a contact list of our whole team, which is about 30-something people. And then you can get them on your email distributions and all that.
That would be terrific. And then also we do amazing job with marketing. And I know nobody likes to get those emails all the time, but I will tell you that in the beginning, it's kind of a cool thing to get. It familiarizes you with us a little bit more. And then if you don't want to take them anymore, you get to a point you've had enough of me and the emails, you can just unsubscribe.
I know. I turn them into social media posts sometimes if it's good. stuff.
Yep.
So no, send it, please.
Send them.
Okay, well, I will get everybody set up once I get your list and
I'm doing it
we'll
right now.
we'll go from there. But please feel free to call me anytime. I answer my phone usually up until about 7 o'clock. I'm around on weekends. I know that that's sometimes when it happens and you need to know something right away, but I do my best to be here for you. And if I'm not going to be around, it's on my voicemail when I'm not available or why not. Okay.
Cool. I just sent you the list. Laura.
Okay.
So
All
should-
right.
should be in your inbox. It's got names, phone numbers, and email addresses for everybody.
Beautiful. Okay. And like I said, for the time being, you can go into the Lone Stream Wholesale and, check out some stuff there, and then I'll get everybody signed up and you'll be good to go.
Perfect. Well,
All
thanks
right.
again. Really appreciate it. And
Thank
good info,
you.
and we'll be in touch.
I appreciate the forgiveness. I try to only ask for it at least only once a year. So
Okay.
hopefully I'm going to stay on track.
You're fine.
Thanks, Laura. Look forward to talking to you.
Thanks.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.